Well, here we are going into a second impeachment. You, of course, were a Watergate prosecutor, and you said, will Trump lawyers repeat Trump's big lies or stick to a questionable legal challenge to the impeachment trial? Well, it sounds like, and by the way, this was the tweet I had read previously. My guess is that Trump was insisting they continue the big lie, argue that he actually won in a landslide, but they knew they couldn't misrepresent the facts, even in an impeachment trial, without risking being disbarred. So it sounds like they're not going to go for that, right? They're going to try this. It's unconstitutional, which is also incorrect, isn't it?
It is incorrect, but it won't get them disbarred. It is an argument that has never been officially decided, although cases have preceded it where it was allowed. So it seems pretty clear that it is not unconstitutional.
Well, isn't it also because he was
a ridiculous argument? But it gives a political excuse to the Republicans, and that's all they're looking for. Is they don't want to vote against him, and so if they can say that it's unconstitutional, even if it isn't, then they get an easy out.
They don't have to talk about his complicity, which is
Exactly.
fairly obvious, right? But
Exactly.
he was impeached while he was president, Jill, right? I mean, that's
exactly.
He was a sitting president, and this is in the
You're a lawyer.
Right.
You are good at this.
Yeah, well, no, but what I'm saying is, I know someone said, why aren't you on Sisters-in-Law? I'm like, because the name Law is in the title, and I'm not a lawyer. But thank you for pitching me for that job. But Jill, it's obvious. It's very obvious to me that he was a sitting president. That's in the Constitution. That now the Senate is required to do a trial. On what grounds are they saying it's unconstitutional?
They're making this up as they go along. They're looking for excuses. And you're right. He was impeached while he was a sitting president. So what this means is if I do something really, really heinous and I do it too close to the end of my term, then there's no punishment for it. And I can't be barred from ever running again because I can't be convicted because I'm out of office. There can't be a trial in time. So that's a ridiculous argument. You can't allow someone to do something and just run out the clock. He did that on the emoluments clause. They said, oh, well, he's not in office, so it's moot now. Well, it isn't moot. He could be ordered to repay the illegal gains of his abuse of the emoluments clause. So I don't see how anyone can fall for this and go this way. But then again, Republicans in the first impeachment trial said not guilty, despite the fact that before they had to vote, they had said, well, he did these things. It's not impeachable, but it's not that he's not guilty. And yet, when it came time for the verdict, the choice was guilty or not guilty, and they said not guilty. So they have no character.
Yeah, it seems like we have to fix this, if for nothing else than precedent. This whole ridiculous rule that you can't indict a sitting president and, now you can't prosecute a president because he's not president. I mean, that just by definition makes whoever it is above the law, doesn't it?
It does, and I agree with you. But as you've heard me say many times, I do not believe that the Office of Legal Counsel opinion is valid. I do not believe that the president, even when he's a sitting president, is above the law. And that if a president does something terrible, he has to be held accountable. And the case now is even clearer. I just read an opinion piece about the office of the former president and the announcement that they had. This is the former president with the name DJT, and the man whose name we do not say.
Right.
Velveeta Voldemort. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Maybe we should just call him Voldemort.
Yes.
But the opinion piece really made it clear that they are using that office to announce his, quote, official activities and the pursuit of the Trump administration agenda.
Right.
So that is very scary to me because he has no official duty. He is the former president. He is not entitled to be called President Trump. he is entitled to be called the former president.
Yeah.
But
It's this shadow presidency we've been afraid of. He's never really conceded. He's
exactly,
president in exile in his mind, right?
Exactly. Did you write this opinion piece? Because it's exactly what it says. It is a shadow administration, and it will lead to who knows what kind of succession or civil war. It's very, very frightening. And so, again, he has to be held accountable in a way that says you cannot keep calling yourself president. You cannot keep saying you have official activities. You cannot say you have an agenda. And
did you see that
money?
That scary thing? One of his fanboys was on the golf course with an iPhone, and he's like, "Thank you for your service, sir." He's walking, and Trump's like, "We're not finished." I'm like, no. Okay. So, yes, you are. Yes, you are. You're finished. So, Jill, first of all, talk to me about witnesses. So they didn't allow witnesses in the first impeachment trial because Republicans were in control. So now Democrats are in control, and they're still trying to say Lindsey Graham is threatening. If you have witnesses, we'll call in the FBI. And I'm like, good. I mean, why would we not have witnesses when we're in control? Can you talk to me about that?
I think witnesses are necessary. Right. I think that at the very, very least, this trial will provide a public record for the history books and will make it clear what the evidence was. So even just for that, it is worth presenting a very concise and cogent presentation of the facts. And witnesses are necessary for that. I think the videotape obviously will be a main component of the trial because they show, and you can have a video of his tweets in the months before the election and in all the time from the election until January 6th. Then you can have the videotape of his speech and everybody else who is an enabler. And if there were ever a criminal trial, they would be co-conspirators. So you would have all of that. And then you would have evidence of all the phone calls he received, both before January 6th and during the uprising, to say, please send help. We're under attack. Your vice president is in danger. The Speaker of the House is in danger. All the members of Congress and all the staff in the building are in danger. And he did nothing. He allowed his supporters to continue their bad behavior. And then he said, we love you.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a pretty compelling case to me that he had the intent, that he was laying the groundwork in the months before the election saying that it's a rigged election, and in the months after saying that it was a stolen election. And that's what he's still saying.
Yeah, and Jill,
not conceding.
So we had this conversation all the way through the Mueller report that obviously Bill Barr, stopped the Mueller. There are 10 counts, very clear counts of obstruction of justice. They obviously couldn't get to the criminal conspiracy because of the amount of obstruction. But I have the same question now as I had then. And I think Glenn Kirshner has said yes to this. I'm curious, isn't this criminal at some point? This is not just about impeachment. It would seem to me with all of these stories coming out that there could be criminal charges, couldn't there? I mean, I'm one story after another. This one, the smoking gun, orders from Miller to the D.C. National Guard for January 6th included D.C. Guard were allowed no helmets, no armor, no weapons. They were not allowed to stop or arrest protesters. Letter orders no interference with the rioters. I mean, it appears to me every story, this other bombshell from the New York Times, is that Trump ordered the code red. At what point does this become criminal?
I think there are so many crimes involved in this that it's impossible to even begin to count them. The only problem you have in a criminal case is if there is one MAGA juror, there will be an acquittal. So that's something that we have to take into account. It doesn't mean people aren't guilty. It doesn't mean that they shouldn't be indicted and forced to defend themselves. But yes, there are definitely crimes, and the conspiracy now includes members of Congress.
Well, yeah, clear. And you laid out on Twitter, Jill, you said this article lays out clear proof of Trump's intent to interfere with the election as relevant evidence for the Senate trial. And you're quoting, from New York Times, across those 77 days, the forces of disorder were summoned and directed by the departing president, who wielded the power derived from his near infallible status among the party faithful in one final norm-defying act of a reality-denying presidency. I mean, we learned, what was this, yesterday or the day before, that in this same piece, right, that, he obviously, this was a 77, as we said, 77-day campaign of Trump and his allies to overturn the election. This was not some spontaneous thing. When Barr informed Trump in a tense Oval Office session that the Justice Department's fraud investigations had run dry, the president dismissed the department as derelict and found other officials who would view things his way. For every lawyer on Trump's team who quietly pulled back, there was one ready to push forward with propaganda suits that skated the lines of legal ethics and reason, that intended not only Giuliani, Sidney Powell, Lin Wood, but also the vast majority of Republican attorneys generals whose dead on arrival Supreme Court lawsuit seeking to discount 20 million votes was secretly drafted by White House lawyers. I mean, isn't this all go to criminal intent, Jill?
It clearly does, as does, although we need more facts about this, the meeting on January 5th at the Trump International Hotel,
right,
with his son and other people. Flynn was there. We need to know more about that. We need to know more about former Secretary Miller's letter. What pressure was he under? Who told him to write that? Now, and I do want to point out, it did say without approval specifically from me. So it didn't mean it was impossible. It just meant they couldn't be used without the secretary. And obviously the secretary did not give permission. We also now know that money was funneled to the organizers of the rally, and that came from the Trump campaign. So there's a lot of indicia that this is a big conspiracy and is both criminal and impeachable, and constitutionally within the framework of our government must be held accountable. And if we don't want to have 4 more years of division and then the possibility of him running for office for a second term.
Yeah, don't you love how they
approach?
It's not the rioting and the insurrection that is dividing us. It's trying to hold people accountable for it. That apparently is divisive. I mean, it's
I guess so.
Ridiculous. We're so excited about Sisters-in-Law, the new podcast with you and Joyce Vance and Barb McQuaid. And also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave out Kimberly Eatkins. I don't know her, but I'm sure I will.
Oh, you'll love Kimberly. You must meet her. She is an opinion writer for the Boston Globe. She is a lawyer, but returned to her first love, which was writing. But she started her career as a lawyer, so she fits in as a sister-in-law.
And I love how you all support each other. Maya Wiley tweeted, "This is exciting. Congratulations. So happy to see all you brilliant lawyers leading the conversation about justice." And of course, we're hoping she is our next mayor of New York City.
That's for sure.
I mean,
if she wasn't running for mayor, she would be a sister-in-law.
Yeah.
I know Mimi Rocha, of course. Everybody keeps getting elected. That used to be.
Exactly. But we're so proud of them, and we're supporting them for sure. So we're very excited about it. And we just had our first episode was so exciting. We had so much fun talking to each other and sharing our views. And, we mostly agree, but we all bring a different perspective, even when we agree. So it was so much fun. And according to the charts, we were #1 in political podcasts after our first episode.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Amazing.
So exciting. So exciting.
Is that mine, Bart?
No, that's mine. That's mine.
Jamie's excited too.
Jamie's excited about Law, the new podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcast.
Yes.
Yes. You are all so fabulous. And I believe when I first coined that you're all my legal ladies, somebody put all your faces on the Beyonce video to all the single ladies. And it's
my God.
very dignified, but it was fun.
I would love it. I would love it for sure. For sure. Ow.